Hey everybody, this is Perch. We hear a lot about how DC is on the brink. They're going to stop publishing comics. Things are bad. They're laying people off. They're laying people off again. So you might be surprised to hear that DC Comics are hiring. They're hiring some pretty large executive roles, some leadership roles within the company. And we could tell by the roles kind of what they're after. This is one of those cases where the future of DC, as we look into 21 and 22 and so on, we can really kind of get a sense of what's going on. So first off, one of the roles that they're hiring, and I think these are all up on the Warner website. So if you want to go apply, get that resume ready. But at any rate, WB Entertainment has a couple jobs. The first position is Vice President, Editorial Strategy and Programming. So this is somewhat of a no-brainer-ish kind of role, although I'll explain why there is some confusion in a moment. But Marie Javins, when she was promoted to editor-in-chief, the idea of a cohort of a VP of editorial strategy was somewhat vacated, and now there's going to be a role there that they are hiring into. It doesn't say who it reports to, but it's a safe bet that it will report to Javins, working with the editor-in-chief to develop content, very much tied in with what Daniel Cherry and Jim Lee are doing. It's listed in the job description. Basically, the VP of Editorial Strategy and Programming is intended to develop strategic recommendations to optimize DC Comics' annual editorial slate and promotional programming plans across key retail and digital distribution channels. This role will work closely with the editor-in-chief to develop editorial priorities for the editorial staff to enhance character and narrative content to entertain our global DC fan base. There's a lot in that paragraph. It's very revealing in that paragraph exactly what they're going to do. It's just feels very, very clear. This role helps strategize, organize, communicate the overall publishing content strategy across all DC Comics imprints. Success is measured by increased fan engagement, positive sentiment, growth in DC Universe Infinite subscriptions, and achievement of DC Comics annual publishing revenue goals. So this is it has some very clear parts to it. You can only go up where fan engagement is concerned, I think, and positive sentiment. I was like, man, if your job is coming into DC to increase positive sentiment, I mean, you're the world's in front of you, I guess, is the best way to put it. What worries me a little bit about this role is there's no communicate plans to the market aspect of it. But maybe this next role will do it. The second job they're hiring is a head of digital and mobile product strategy. So this is a product owner role. By head, this is what many tech companies would call a senior PM, senior product manager, or director level position, maybe. But this is which worries me, and I'll explain why in a moment. But this role is supposed to really kind of build and optimize the DC Universe Infinite digital product portfolio of future properties, including DCComics.com, DC Free, and the role will be responsible for setting and executing the vision, business case, and development of all DC digital products. Obviously, if you've been watching my videos, you know I have a lot of views and opinions on this matter, and I hope that this role is empowered to do that, although it does concern me a little bit when you get into the details that it is very much tied to the general manager VP of sales. It's intended to be a business owner for the products, as well as a product lead. Those are two tough things to merge together and get right. You can find people who are very good at those, but somebody who's going to be a manager roadmap and a digital strategy and a development life cycle, somebody who's going to be engaging in theory with engineering teams to build stuff out and create that kind of portfolio and how people are going to engage with it, as well as manage a business number and have a financial side to your background. And because it's head of digital, but there's not a VP or a real executive, function. I mean, it's listed as an executive role, but it doesn't have executive titling. And that means that, in fact, it says in the job description, this role is going to need to collaborate with key stakeholders, build buy-in, launch consumer-facing products, accelerate revenue growth for digital properties, enhance fan engagement, sure. Be a functional expert in building world-class digital products and subscription services technologies across conception, feature design, execution, ongoing management. Understand technical requirements, architecture diagrams related to the product This is a lot in one role. Now, undoubtedly, this role will have some people underneath them, but this is the same kind of thinking and strategy that Marvel has used before when they've been hired into this. And what happens is you get somebody who's going to maybe be strong in one area and not others, and it tips over. So this worries me. This role is something that they need to make to land correctly. They really need a good person in this position, and this kind of mishmash of a bunch of different responsibilities is not a great sign. But at any rate, working with Daniel Cherry III, Nancy Spears, sure. But one of the reasons digital is still in its infancy, which is most likely why we don't have a VP or an executive part to that title. But it is a very critical role. They're just going to have to convince. The challenge is you're going to have to convince somebody to leave. Maybe an expert in technology and subscription as a service and building those kinds of revenue streams. That person can walk into an Amazon or a Microsoft or a Google or one of those type of companies, a Facebook, and command easily a high 300 to 500,000 a year salary, plus options, plus bonuses, plus incentives. And they're not going to pay anywhere remotely close to that for this role. So that's anyway, it's you got to set these things up for success. The last role they're hiring is a vice president for television of the creative affairs department for DC. And this is somebody who's going to work to develop TV content to drive the DC brand. Maybe not a big surprising role. The surprising part of it is I think it was assumed this role would be filled by some of the people remaining after the layoffs, and the fact they're now going outside to basically bring this role in. I have my doubts that this role is going to get filled. I'm just going to say on the offset. But anyway, these are 3 high-level jobs that is most likely going to then generate more jobs. So I would expect in January, February, there's some more people they're attempted to be hired at DC. Basically to be the underlings for some of these roles they're bringing in. But it's interesting in the context of all the rumors that DC is on the brink, that things are in trouble, that they're going to get out of comics completely. These roles do indicate a continual interest, at least the first 2 do, to monthly comics and that type of content. But we'll see. We'll see what rolls out. But are you surprised that DC is hiring some executive staff so shortly after doing all their layoffs and their cuts? Or is this a case of bringing in some fresh blood? What are your odds that they basically hire new people into the company, but the new people they hire in are people who have been working in comics and other companies, and so they're really not getting any fresh blood at all? What do you suspect? I suspect the odds are kind of high where that's concerned, but we will see. Anyway, what do you think? Do these give you any optimism? Are you on board with this fan engagement, making things better plan? Let me know in the comments below. Like, subscribe. Hey, if you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, I do produce a lot of videos, so I know that there's a lot of content out there, but hopefully a little bit of something for everyone. One thing that dawns on me as people have come to the channel and I've gotten feedback is there's this kind of assumption that people are going to like everything, and that's not what I do. That's not the point of the videos I produce. I'm trying to cover a lot of different topics, and I'm assuming that the person who wants to hear reviews of comics is not the same person who wants to hear inside baseball about how comic retailer business goes. Or if I'm talking about digital strategy and kind of comparing it to Shueisha and other attempts that are going on out there, those are probably different than the people who are interested in my rambling about creator psychology and why people do the things they do there. So I'm hoping that there's some segmentation going on, that people are watching and enjoying the things they want and kind of discarding the rest. That's kind of my plan. But I always find it a little weird. I get mails from time to time saying you produce too many videos, and I don't want to listen to all these videos. It's like, yeah, I don't want you to either. I don't think you should have to. Nobody should listen to this much of my voice at any given time. It's like a half an hour of my voice at least every single day. That's too much. I would stop if I were you. But anyway, regardless, I do thank everyone for the support. Heading up to 8,000 subscribers. Crazy. I never really intended this to get above 100. So thank you to everybody who's come on board. I'm glad you're here for this ride. And as always, most importantly, thanks for listening.